Rescue crews worked through the night trying to stabilize the scene, slabs of concrete in a precarious pile that could shift at any second. At 4 a.m., hope, with the help of a tool called a life detector.
It's sort of an X-ray machine that can look through the concrete slabs and determine on a reading on the machine whether or not there's someone breathing within that structure or within that void. And they did come up with that positive sign.
Officials say the victim is trapped beneath concrete. Rescue crews last communicated with them Sunday morning by tapping on metal. While there hasn't been any tapping since, authorities are encouraged by this latest development. The roof of the Algo Centre Mall collapsed Saturday afternoon. Exactly how many people are missing is unclear. Police continue to field calls of concern, but with residents coming and going from the area, the number has fluctuated, as low as 3 one day to as high as 30 the next.
It's a nightmare which nobody's ever going to forget for a long, long time.
It's not known exactly what caused the collapse, but many say they saw it coming.
I used to make comments before that one of these days we're going to see a car come through.
The mall is owned by Eastwood Mall Incorporated, which hasn't responded to the collapse. Residents came together holding a vigil Sunday night for those trapped and families missing loved ones.
It's a very difficult thing. People are trying to stay as strong as they can with prayer and song, and people are giving each other hugs and support.
Since the collapse, crews have been working to stabilize the area, removing a vehicle from the scene and huge slabs of concrete. Slow and painstaking work made more complicated by the fact that the structure is shifting, so crews can't rescue the victim until it's safe.
A no-go situation for us to be there. We're still scared of it, even has the potential of falling down.
Awarded Best Newscast, The News Hour with Leslie Roberts and Ann Muskowski.
Breaking news this hour from the scene of the mall disaster in Elliot Lake. Officials have just told family members of the missing all hope is gone of finding anyone alive. The rescue mission is now officially a recovery mission. The structure too unsafe for anyone to enter, and demolition will now begin.
Thanks for joining us. It's the news people were dreading at the scene of the mall disaster in Elliot Lake.
52 hours after the roof came crashing down, any hope of survivors is now gone.
The death toll is confirmed at 1, but officials say there are still many people unaccounted for, a number that keeps fluctuating but has been as high as 30 people missing.
A new news conference is underway right now. The rescue team official telling reporters rescue efforts have been unsuccessful due to instability of the remaining structure. So unsafe it would put the lives of rescue officials at risk to go inside. Therefore, he concluded the rescue mission, now officially a recovery mission, and demolition is the next step.
As you can imagine, crews have been dealing with an incredibly unstable site. There are large slabs of concrete and a great deal of debris for rescuers to maneuver. They were able to go in overnight, and around 4 o'clock this morning, using a tool called a life detector, they saw signs of life. The machine is like an X-ray machine that determines whether or not someone is breathing, and they did find someone inside still alive, but within the last 30 minutes, officials called off the rescue mission.
We will not be able to use the crane as much as we did because that area that they were lifting and removing large slabs from is now a no-go situation for us to be there. We're still scared of it, even has the potential of falling down.
New developments, of course, just breaking. We'll have the very latest for you coming up at 6 o'clock, including exclusive insight in the mall collapse. We're going to talk to a man who was actually hired to do repairs to the mall's roof several years ago. He told us he flagged problems back then to the owners and claims they were ignored. But a mall spokesman says a study of the building was just done and showed no serious issues. We'll break it all down for you in our next half hour. Good evening. This is News Hour Final, and there is breaking news out of Elliot Lake this hour, where anger over a decision to end the search for survivors at the scene of the mall collapse had Premier Dalton McGuinty intervening tonight, giving full approval now to resume the search. But exactly when and how that search will resume remains unclear. A news conference wrapped up just a short time ago. Let's bring in our Jennifer Palasek at the scene for details of what happens next. Good evening, Jen.
Good evening, Leslie. You can see behind me the masses of people who have gathered here at the scene. The community of Elliot Lake coming together after a day of extreme emotion.
Save our families, save our friends. Rescue missions never end. Save our...
The pain is palpable here in Elliot Lake.
We We don't know that they're all dead in there. There might still be people alive.
Crews said they heard tapping yesterday morning from beneath the rubble, but earlier today were pulled from the scene because it was deemed unsafe. Gary Grendon believes his fiancée Lucy is trapped under concrete.
Our code was to knock, knock twice, and that's what they heard there yesterday. So I know she's still living. I know there's other people living that are in the rubble, and they just want to give up. No.
I don't know that lady's name. I've never asked that lady what her name was. Hurts me inside.
Elliot Lake residents are so upset with the decision that some are willing to sign a waiver to go into the building and try to rescue victims themselves. In this former mining community, those with mining experience and without were signing up.
Mine rescue don't quit. They never quit on a miner.
You're willing to go in?
Yeah.
Late this evening, a turnaround that moved the masses from angry to hopeful.
The emergency management team of the City of Elliot Lake has received notification from the province of Ontario that we have full approval to resume the efforts at the Alderville Centre Mall.
Now let's just give them the room they need to operate, and let's let them work.
Now, at this point, it is still too dangerous for crews to go directly into the scene. Now, what they will eventually try to use is heavy machinery to remove any obstacles that are causing them danger, namely the escalator and the stairwell. And officials say this is a drastic measure, not typically used in rescues, but it's definitely news that's causing hope for the people here in Elliot Lake and for those beneath the rubble. Leslie.
And of course, Jen, that hope earlier today replaced by anger, now relief and hope again. And you can see the crowd swelling there, because when we saw you on the earlier show at 5:30, there was no one behind you. It's like half the town of Elliot Lake is out there now.
Absolutely, and that's been fluctuating throughout the day. Some people have been keeping vigil, trying to stay here for the victims. And then when word of the decision to remove crews came down, people were angry. You could feel it in the air. We were out by the community center where people were signing up. You saw those pictures, people signing up to go in and help. But since this turnaround, I can tell you, you can feel it. There's hope, there's optimism, and now just a short while ago they saw some movement up and some crews walk towards the scene, and everyone here gave a big cheer and a big clap supporting those who are making the efforts for those trapped beneath rubble.
No doubt it's going to be a long night in Elliot Lake. All right, Jennifer Palisock with the very latest breaking news from the scene. Thank you, Jen. Short time ago, Premier Dalton McGuinty released this statement. In part, he says, "I have spoken to Emergency Management Ontario and the heavy urban search and rescue team and have instructed them to determine if there is any other way possible to reach any victims without endangering our rescuers. I believe we owe it to the families waiting for word of their loved ones to leave no stone unturned." And that's exactly what has happened in the last hour or so. Decision to resume the search. Now, even before Saturday's collapse, many residents say they expressed concern about the mall. And today, Global News spoke exclusively with the man hired to repair the mall roof several years ago. He claims the owners didn't do enough back then to make the roof safe, even though he warned them it was a problem. But a mall spokesman says a study of the building was just done and showed no serious issues. With more now, here's Anthony Robart.
In the small town of Elliot Lake, the mall is the center of activity, where people shop, they meet, they socialize. And sadly, for years, a regular topic of conversation has been the roof's constant leaking problems.
It's not really shocking to me that this has happened. Every time it rained when I was there, there was buckets placed all over the place.
In an exclusive interview, Glenn Day says he was hired in the summer of 2008 by the mall's owner to patch up the leaking roof, which also acts as a parking area, and prepare the roof for the waterproofing system. He says even then, the mall's roof and ceilings were in a state of horrible disrepair.
I had noticed that the corrosion on the beams, the corrosion on the concrete core slabs, it was quite a mess at that time, and I had brought it to the attention of the owner.
Day says he quoted the owner, Richard Nazarian, just under $1 million for the job. That included a waterproofing membrane on the roof to prevent further leaking. But this contractor says he never received that amount. Soon after giving his quote, Day and his crew were told their services were no longer required. And according to Day, the membrane that was seen as necessary was not installed. And Day believes to truly fix the roof, it required much more than that.
They were doing a bandage job, I mean, first of all, repair the structure and then make necessary repairs to the outside. You might be able to stop the water, but you're not going to be able to stop what's already been done.
They had water. They probably were getting what I call hidden or concealed damages to the structure. Now, without identifying what the actual nature of the damage was, one shouldn't be surprised that the structure eventually gave way.
A mall spokesperson has said repair and maintenance work has been done on sections of the building's roof over the last year, but not in the area that collapsed. And that an engineering and structural study of the building was done just last month, and that there were no serious problems. Global News attempted to contact the owner. His lawyer had no comment. We got the same response when we spoke to Nazarian's son, Levon.
Unfortunately, at this time, I cannot answer any questions. I'm sorry.
And then he hung up.
So obviously we are receiving little in terms of any answers to our questions. Now, one of the other potential factors which could have affected the integrity of the structure is the varying weather conditions in Elliot Lake. From the cold winters to now a warm summer, the concrete has literally been expanding and pulling itself apart, making the cracks bigger. It is without question a horribly tragic situation that is still unfolding in Elliot Lake, and one that may have shown warning signs for some time. Leslie, back to you.
Anthony Robart in the newsroom. Thank you.